So guys, you all know Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is truly evil, right? Like a really racist, evil piece of shit. Well, I'm about to make you guys even more sure of that conclusion, because he just pardoned a guy who was convicted of killing a protester at a 2020 BLM rally. Mind you, this is a guy who had posted on social media his, manifesto and, had gone on rants about how he was going to go there to kill people. Y'all, what? Yep. Texas governor pardons man convicted of killing protester at 2020 BLM rally.
Tonight, a man convicted of murder for killing an armed Black Lives Matter protester is walking free.
Mind you, by the way, armed Black Lives Matter protester is maybe harder language than I would use without giving extra context right away, because people are going to immediately draw conclusions, I feel. Open carrying at protest is one of the very few cases in which carrying a firearm openly in public is generally considered acceptable and is generally legal. Usually, even among really pro-gun people, you don't open carry a gun unless you're doing, unless you're hiking, fishing, camping, hunting, sport shooting, these kind of things where it makes sense to not have to have your gun away all the time. Like, you'd have it out doing these things. Like, it'd be okay to have it out. But when it comes to a protest, that's another one of those scenarios. Openly carrying at a protest is legal. Shooting people unprompted, not so. Not so. And a good example of, open carrying at a protest being done well was the Black Panthers. They would literally just stand outside of police precincts and walk neighborhoods with M4s or whatever, and just watch police. They would literally stalk cops with slung machine guns over their shoulders, and they would just patrol through the neighborhood to make sure the cops weren't harassing any kids or something. And they would do this at protests. They would do it as a form of demonstration. And it's been done by many left and right-wing movements throughout American history. So to be very clear here, armed BLM protester does not mean this guy was taking down an armed shooter at the protest. This just means the guy shot someone who was open carrying. And the guy who shot the person who was open carrying was probably open carrying too. Remember, the right believes in guns for them, but not for minorities, certainly not black people. They are not big on black people owning guns.
An armed Black Lives Matter protester is walking free. Former U.S. Army Sergeant Daniel Perry was serving a 25-year prison sentence for fatally shooting Air Force veteran Garrett Foster in 2020. Today, Perry was pardoned by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Now, just to remind you what happened, prosecutors say that Perry drove his SUV.
To be clear, this guy was convicted of murder. This guy was found guilty and convicted of murder, and as a political stunt, Greg Abbott is letting him go. Mind you, he wrote a manifesto about how he was going to go there and kill BLM protesters before he went and killed BLM protesters. It was premeditated first-degree murder, is what I believe it was determined to be, with all the evidence. And Abbott is literally now letting the guy out of jail with a get out of prison free card, because that's the power that our heads of state, not heads of the state of America, but the states have. They can literally pardon people like this. Guns for me, but not for minority. Exactly.
Through a red light into a crowd of protesters in Austin. He was apparently approached by Foster, who was openly carrying an assault-style rifle, which is legal in Texas. Foster then motioned for Perry to lower his window, at which
assault-style rifle is not a real classification for guns, by the way. Is it? Is assault-style rifle? Why? Is that a real classification for guns? She didn't say assault weapon. I've never heard assault-style rifle. I hate that I have to be the guy that nitpicks at this stuff, but CNN. You gotta take what you can get, I guess. It doesn't sound right. No, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't sound right to me either. It stands out as it sounds fully semi-automatic. It sounds a bit like that to me.
Perry shot Foster with a handgun. The defense argued that Perry's actions were justified as self-defense, but the jury, they went on to convict him. Now, Governor Abbott made an unusual request for the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles to carry out an expedited review before Perry was even sentenced. Now, that board unanimously voted to pardon Perry and restore his firearm rights earlier today. I want to bring in Sheila Foster. It's Garrett Foster's mom.
So not only is he walking free, they're giving him his guns back after he literally wrote a manifesto. He literally did premeditated first-degree murder and was convicted of it against a BLM protester, and Greg Abbott, as a political stunt, has pardoned him, let him free, and given him his guns back. He is now armed and back on the streets, and he is going to kill again. He is probably, like, this might be the most empowered an attempted mass killer has ever felt in the history of attempted mass killers. Like, this guy is going to attack again, so confident that he is going to get away with it and be let out of prison again. This guy is going to repeat offend so bad. Yeah, Zan, this legit worries me, y'all. Well, guys, remember, the Republicans are hard on crime. They're hard on crime. Remember, Texas is a hard on crime state, but that New York, I mean, they just let murderers walk right on out of jail after a night there. You know how it is in those hellish liberal cities. Not Texas though. They're hard on crime there. Hard on crime, Texas.
And the attorney representing her, Quentin Brogdon. Sheila Foster, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is heartbreaking every time I hear about and remind the audience about what has happened to your family, to your beloved child. He was convicted of murder on Daniel Perry on April 7th of last year. The very next day, Governor Abbott was speaking openly about wanting to pardon your son's killer. What is it you're feeling tonight?
Reading the governor's pardon, it appears as though nothing that was done in trial and nothing that was reviewed by the pardon board was included in his pardon. That is all stuff that was said by the defense attorney in the beginning. It's not anything that the pardon board discovered. All of that stuff was debunked at trial. Everything the governor put in his pardon letter was proven wrong during trial.
Did you feel when the conviction happened and he was found guilty, how did you feel about losing your son and justice and accountability at that point?
When they announced that he was guilty,
Yes.
that was a relief. That was a relief, and I've slept better that night than I had in nearly 3 years. And I woke up the next morning and it was so peaceful. And then I literally was basking in peace that morning and thank.
Yeah, Abbott is up for re-election soon, by the way, guys. How well did what were the results of the last gubernatorial election? Texas gubernatorial election results, Abbott. 2022 gubernatorial election. Yeah, like every fucking district went to Abbott. Okay. Beto O'Rourke. Was Beto O'Rourke, like, unpopular? Was Beto just, like, not a great candidate? Or was it just Greg Abbott being this popular among Texans? Because he won by 54.8% to 43.9%. Like, Abbott won by a pretty large margin last time. Like, every rural county goes hard Abbott. Hard Abbott, every rural county. Like, Galveston, Austin, Houston, they all go to Beto in the last election. Abbott is not popular, Zan. Was Beto unpopular, though? That's the question. Was Beto a good candidate for the Democrats? Was he weak? Like, was it that Beto was so weak, or was Greg, like, particularly strong? That's what I'm asking. Or Abbott particularly strong? Most likely gerrymandering? Oh, yeah. Oh, fucking yeah. Dude, my buddy Ethan's voting district looks like a pair of headphones. That's not a joke, by the way. Look at the shape of my headphones here. This is the shape of my buddy's voting district. Also, guys, listen, I'm giving you guys some hilarious fucking memes, okay? Some hilarious fucking memes. No, I cannot tell you, and I will not dox him. As hilarious as it would fucking be. But, my buddy Ethan knows a lot of areas in Texas and recognized the famous doxed but blurred photo of Stone Toss's house that leaked, but it's like blurred. We don't know you're not supposed to know exactly where he lives. That was found because my buddy just knew where that was. He just was like, wait, I know where that is. I recognize that. And then brought it up on Google and was like, we could do the funniest shit in the world right now. Well, we didn't. But yeah, my buddy Ethan knows where Stone Toss lives. I know where Stone Toss lives. I know his address. I would never post it. But yeah, just not even trying to find it. Just holy shit, I know that place. Figured out, just easy. So that's funny as fuck. But yeah, Texas, that whole district shaped like a pair of fucking headphones, bro. And Austin or Houston, my bad. Leave him some mail. No, I'm not gonna fuck with anybody's house. I'm not gonna fuck with anyone's house. He's only a stone toss away. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, Greg Abbott took the win pretty hard last election. I don't know, guys. Next election is in 2026, apparently. That'll be when we get our next gubernatorial election in Texas. So in 2 years, there'll be a chance to knock Abbott out of this seat. But he won with a nearly 10% margin. So we'll see. We'll see if he can get booted out. He's pretty awful.
That we finally got justice. And then I got a text message from my friend telling me about the governor's tweet.
Can you imagine that? Your son is murdered. Finally, after a long court trials and tribulations, justice is finally brought about. First-degree murder charges are applied and they're found guilty. And the governor, the Republican governor, for a political stunt, not only releases your son's killer, but for extra brownie points in the culture war, gives him his guns back, rearms the guy that killed your son so he can kill again. And he loses nothing now. The guy who killed her son has lost absolutely nothing and might even be made a right-wing celebrity like Kyle Rittenhouse after this.
And I thought, there's no way he would actually do that. There's no way he's actually gonna do that. And then here we are.
Is that how you found out? You mean this is the way that you found out through a tweet that the governor's office didn't contact you or you didn't have an advance notice?
No, it was through a tweet. When I found out that my son was murdered, I found out by Whitney's mother. The authorities didn't even contact me, his next of kin. I had to find that out from his wife's mother. And my daughter had previously already learned it on Facebook. So nothing involving this case is normal. Nothing is ethical. Nothing.
Yeah, just imagine maybe it's the first day you've stopped thinking about your brother being killed, and then you're scrolling through Facebook, and all of a sudden you see a post, and you recognize a name in it, your brother's killer, and you're like, what? And you read it, and it says the governor of your state is going to pardon your brother's killer and reinstate his gun ownership rights.
Is right. Everything that has happened is wrong on so many levels, and I don't understand.
It's so bizarre. It's personal torture. It almost feels like the governor is personally deciding to torture this one family of this killed guy. You know? When I say that conservatives are evil, I really do mean it. If you were ever ever their direct target, they would not stop trying to hurt you and ruin your life until you were dead. They don't care about you. They want you dead, okay? These people are absolutely fucking awful human beings. The average conservative is a fundamentally bad person until that changes about them. Do you want to know why that is? Even if they're not, like, hateful or whatever, most conservatives I've encountered, even the non-hateful, like, super Nazi or whatever ones, they only believe what they believe because the vile opinions they hold and express publicly garners a negative reaction from people, and they're so bored and so desperate for validation and attention that even a negative reaction that you get from offending people is enough to make them feel like they matter. I'm not even joking when I say that's how a lot of these people behave and think. It's genuinely pathetic, and I'd argue evil. I really do hate how, like, knowing how conservatives think, it makes it hard to feel empathy for them.
Why? It is so crystal clear to me that this man needs to be in prison for the rest of his life, not a mere 25 years. Why he wouldn't even have to serve a year. It doesn't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Governor
Quentin,
Abbott wouldn't pardon him.
I mean,
He wouldn't pardon him if this was a Trump rally. If this was a Trump rally and somebody drove into that crowd and gunned one of those people down, do you think Governor Abbott would pardon that killer?
your question, I think, is swirling around so many people's minds, and I think
God, this mom is doing a good job of just hammering home that this governor is a fucking evil, slimy, 50 pounds of shit in a 1 pound bag piece of fucking trash.
they have their answers quite clearly. I want to bring you in here, Quentin. It's unbelievable to think of how this mother has had to learn about a pardon for someone convicted of killing her son. You were considering filing a civil case even before the murder conviction. Is she without any legal recourse now? Are you going to be able to pursue any legal action now that he has been pardoned?
Laura, thank you. We decided, Sheila and I, and Sheila's one of the bravest clients I've ever represented, not to go forward with the civil case because there was accountability in the wake of the conviction of Daniel Perry. But now the governor's turned the rule of law on his head. He seems to have forgotten a basic truth that our founding fathers knew well, namely that respect for the rule of law begins with respect for the will of citizen jurors. And in this case, there were 12 citizen jurors who gave up 2 weeks of their lives to consider the evidence. They heard from 40 witnesses. They deliberated 50.
Nobody actually thinks the governor would pardon the shooter of a Trump voter, but now we have to pretend there is some well-thought-out reasoning for this. Tank Zappa, we have to pretend that there's a well-thought-out reason for this when, like, dealing with normies. Something you have to recognize is that, no, like, the dude was convicted of murder. It was an open and shut case, guys. Like, there was no argument about it. This was, like, a very, like, overwhelmingly popular decision. The guy was a murderer who was caught on video with 40 witnesses and a lot of other shit. Like, he did it and killed this guy. And Greg Abbott just let him out of prison because the governor can do that. Like, if you are in a state prison and you committed a crime in a state and were charged in a state, if you are within the governor's jurisdiction, they can just say, oh, I don't care if you... He could have raped 500 children on national television. Abbott could still pardon him. The governor has that power. So next time you think that the only election that matters is the presidency, remember that, like, the next governor of your state could decide to just snap his fingers and pardon every pedophile in every state jail and prison in the entire state. And just let them all loose. Yeah.
15 hours. And at the end of that, those same 12 citizen jurors voted unanimously to convict Daniel Perry. And assuming the governor or anybody else who would say this is a travesty of justice is correct, then there are two separate...
Absolutely, Mr. Inedible. The presidency doesn't mean shit if your state is run by Ron DeSantis. Exactly. You got to vote on everything. You know, like right now, it doesn't matter that Biden's president if you live in, like, Arizona, Ohio, like any of the other, Florida, fucking Alabama, Mississippi, these states that are cracking down on abortion. It doesn't matter how pro-abortion Biden is when the states have more power than the federal government when it comes to people's physical bodily rights.
Separate courts of appeals in Texas that can be allowed.
But then sometimes if the federal government has more power, then all it takes is one guy. Then it takes just being one Trump at the helm, and then California is forced to ban abortion. Right? So it's a coin toss. Do you want these states to have the power to do this? Because that means all the time red states have the power to leverage their will on all their citizens unilaterally. But if the federal government has power over that kind of thing, then one conservative presidency means that like every good law ever established in blue states gets destroyed overnight, right? So it's a really scary situation of, do you want the states to have more power than the federal government, or the federal government to have more power than the states? Because these are only good, both sides are only good when the good people are in charge. Arizona has a Democrat governor. That's true, yeah. But like a lot of its legislature is Republican, though. A lot of it. I'm pretty sure like the entire Supreme Court of Arizona is conservative. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like almost all of it is right-wing. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely out of my depth. Yes? Okay.
Allowed and should have been allowed to weigh in on this and potentially reverse it if it needed to be reversed. But when the judge steps in with 2 big feet and undoes the will of citizen jurors, a legitimate question arises. Is this based on the merits, or is it based on some crass political calculation?
Sheila, I'm so sorry for your loss and that we have not had a chance to meet your beloved son. And I, as mother to mother, I'm just heartbroken for you. And I commend, as your attorney is saying, your absolute bravery in continuing to fight and continuing to make the world know who your son is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura.
He was a good person. Garrett was a very good person.
I believe that with all my heart. Sheila, Quentin, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
It's just fucking sad, bro. It's just so fucking sad. It's just depressing. Like, there's nothing I can say about it other than, yep, a Republican did something blatantly evil again. Nope, there are no checks or balances to take this guy out of power for being obviously evil. Unfortunately, we do just kind of have to accept that. Like, he's just kind of, he's in power, and until 2026, when the next gubernatorial election happens, we are just shit out of luck besides impeachment. That doesn't do much, so we're just kind of shit out of luck when it comes to Texas. Best you can do is try to go to a city where Greg Abbott might not be able to reach you. You know, go to Galveston or Houston or Austin. Austin's good. Austin's, I hear, is really nice. One thing that that Texas does have going for it in the future is I think that it could become the next Silicon Valley, you know? I see a lot of, like, tech bros and, like, progressive, like, young, like, people moving to Texas as they start to make a bit more money, because Texas has insanely low property prices, barely any taxes, like ridiculously low taxes. Streamers are like flocking to Miami, Florida, and Austin, Texas for the low taxes right now. I don't know why LA and Seattle were like the big streamer cities in the first place when the taxes are so high and streaming is already such a like high tax job. Like literally when you stream, this is a good way, by the way, a good way to tell when somebody is like super disconnected from reality is when they say that you have to pay 40% of your taxes each year to the government. When people say that, that is, unless they're living in a state that has extra state taxes, that's them saying that their only job is making money self-employed on the internet. Like if you see a Twitter post saying that, like a Twitter poster, they just like self-reported without realizing it that because of what their tax bracket is, that means that they are like their job is to post on Twitter, and they don't realize that if you work an actual blue-collar job, you're not taxed at a 40% rate. That's not that. No, that's a YouTuber. I'm taxed at a 40% rate. Streamers and YouTubers and people who post on Twitter and are self-employed like freelancers or whatever, taxed at a 40% rate. That's Trump's tax policy, by the way. Not general like workers who are like working a traditional job where they receive a paycheck from an employer and or they receive a salary. So I love when like some conservative account like accidentally self-reports how out of touch they are with a post saying that like, yeah, you pay 40% in taxes each month. It's like, no, the average person does not pay that much in taxes, you fucking idiot. You just self-reported. Xanderhall, LA, and Seattle is originally the streamer havens because they are in safe blue states. Well, there's that, but I think a lot of it was because Seattle and LA were the first cities to seriously start rolling out like fiber optic internet. And now they're rolling out 2 gig internet. Xfinity told me, like, when I was signing up for my service, that pretty soon they're rolling out 2 gig internet. I have the 1 gig right now, which, like, 2 gig is twice as fast as what I have now. I'm getting that once that's available. I'm getting the fastest internet I can get so I can stream eventually in 4K, dude. That's the goal. That's the dream. That's the dream. Yeah. Let's really hope that Greg Abbott doesn't win the next election, huh? Vote blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter who. In every election, down ballot, please. It really, really matters. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. Every thumbs up live cattle prods the YouTube algorithm into pushing my content out to more people, so no matter when, where, or what you're watching, thank you for the likes. Consider subscribing and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, be sure to comment down below so YouTube boosts this content in the algorithm as well. All engagement helps, likes and comments most of all. And of course, follow my social medias linked down below in the description if you want to see more from me on other platforms. And if you want to support me directly financially and you have the money for it and you feel like it, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. And of course, don't forget, there's a completely free to join fan Discord link down below, where I host game events, watch parties, and call-in streams, and I announce all my new uploads and streams as well. So I hope to see you there. I hope you join, and hope to see you again. Hope you have a good one. Thank you for watching.